All right, everybody, welcome to class 3 of tonalism, mystery, memory, and imagination. In today's class, we're going to be talking about scumbling and glazing, two really fun and interesting techniques that will help us in a lot of different stages of our paintings. I use them throughout, but a lot of times it's more of a finishing thing I can do if my colors need to be adjusted or my values need to be adjusted. And I'll show you, I've actually pulled out about 5 little paintings, maybe 6 even, but I'm just going to show you little touches and ways that I can use these two techniques in it. You can use scumbling with both acrylic and oils. So just be aware of that. And I'm going to pop over just really quickly to share with the new students our Padlet page. Let me make myself important here. All right, so hopefully I've taken up most of the screen there. And I'm going to share screen to our Padlet page. All right, and everybody sees our Padlet page with the greenish background there?
Yeah.
Great. All right, well, I was out at the cabin doing a bunch of work with my cousin and my wife this last weekend. And one of the mornings was super beautiful, really foggy. So I shot a little video to share with you guys.
Wow. Oh, beautiful.
There's a view right off our front lawn. I just love the fog out there in the morning.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, you guys can really see where I get a lot of my inspiration for my fog and these pictures there.
So Michael, this is the view from your house?
I wish.
Oh.
From my family's cabin.
Oh, and
Been in the
is that
family for 40 years, so maybe 45, I think we counted.
well?
Yep. So anyways, here on the left is class videos. This is where I'll share the videos. You can watch them directly from here, or you can go to YouTube to watch them. I did a short interview. We actually are moving the weekend workshop to the first weekend of November, I believe. So if anybody's interested in taking an entire weekend, 2 full days workshop with me, this was kind of a little promo that they shot for that, just a little 20-minute interview, and I do a really fast demo. But otherwise, yeah, all the classes are here. And for some of you that are joining a little late or whatever, there's even some, you can go back and watch some of the earlier classes on there if you'd like. We've been getting a lot of questions about how to use Padlet properly. So I just went ahead and put this welcome to Padlet video. You can watch quick, just kind of gives you a little primer. And I've included a little video about Zorn, which is an artist we're going to discuss next week, but I figured I can give you guys a little teaser of that. And in fact, I posted the handout for next week already there if anybody wants to get kind of a head start on that. This week, the handout is there, glazing and scumbling. I also attached it to all the emails that I've been sending out. And then here's a little understanding values, which means just the lights and darks, is what we're going to be talking about all through this course. So I just did kind of a little summary of thoughts on that. So you guys can review that if you'd like. And then here's the new section, is questions for class. Hassan was so amazing to give us a book summary. Thank you very much. These were really great notes. I actually copied those to use for myself later. They're great reminders. So thank you, Hassan, for that. And if anybody else finds them useful, send Hassan a virtual hug. And then here, yeah, just there's a question here. I was wondering how and why when I overwork my paintings, I get flat paint on it and it turns matte in areas. Is this correctable as I work, or do I do something about it once the painting is done and dry? So we got some good feedback. I went ahead and posted a very long response, which I mostly just grabbed off the internet. The first part is mine. And yeah, that happens. The different oil paints have different amounts of oil in them. And sometimes the oil actually will suck into the canvas or the panel, the gesso, in varying amounts. So that's very common that you'll have kind of shinier spots and more matte areas. So there's two different ways you can deal with that. You can take a little bit of like linseed oil onto a clean towel or a paper towel even, and you just kind of wipe that on very thin over the surface of your painting. And that's called oiling out, and it will equalize the shine. The other way that I do it more often is just by simply varnishing my painting. In fact, I just went and bought some new varnish so I could varnish the paintings behind me here. And I'm always amazed how it just brings back the vibrancy of the color, and everything just looks beautiful and new. The varnishes come in matte, satin, and shine, or gloss. And I really like the gloss. It makes the painting almost look wet and just really beautiful, but it's very shiny. So some of my galleries will have like real hot spots where it's just a lot of glare. So I use satin typically. I really like the effect of that. It's not as shiny, and it seems to work pretty well in all my galleries. Otherwise, you can always use matte and make sure that it's not going to be too shiny. So yeah, anyways, if you have questions in the future, please just post them here to the group, and everybody feel free to chime in and give feedback, because we're all dealing with the same issues. We're all learning together. And oh, and Linda Camarada, you were talking about a painting that you varnished a while back with the Gamvar varnish, and it turned kind of white on you.
Right.
So I had that issue. I don't know if you cursed me or what, but I had that issue. And I actually just added another coat of varnish and it went away.
Okay. Well, I tried to sand some of it off and I messed up my painting, and I love that painting out of everything I've ever done. That's the best one I love. And so I'm going to try to add, but how do you apply with the brush or just the soft cloth or what?
Yeah, I apply typically with a brush, and I really scrub it in. I mean, I'll brush one direction, then the other direction, and I'll brush circularly, and then I'll brush it back out and use as little varnish as possible.
Okay.
It's better to do two very, very thin coats than one thicker coat. And everybody knows what varnish is. It's basically the final protective coat you would put on a painting. And it's not always necessary, but it is a nice thing to protect a good painting. And the great thing with the new varnishes, at least with the Gamvar from Gamblin, is it's very easy to remove it. You just use Gamsol, just wipe it on, let it sit for a minute, and then wipe it off. So for the most part, I've been very happy with the Gamvar varnish. It does age. So you want to use a bottle within about 3 months after you've opened it. I have found issues with my old jars of Gamvar I'll find in the back of the storage area, and I've just started throwing them out, unfortunately. All right, go ahead.
So are you painting this varnish on, or are you spraying it on?
Yeah, how are you putting it on?
I wipe it on with a brush.
You do, okay.
One I use is a liquid. Sometimes I use spray, but usually on smaller paintings. Big paintings can be a little bit tougher.
Would you mind posting the label for that product online?
For the Gamvar varnish?
Could you show us at some point? Could you just
Yeah.
do a demo of that at some point, please?
Of course.
Doesn't have to be today, just anytime.
just-
And then also, how do you know that the paint has cured enough to put varnish on it?
The good news is, in the old days, you had to really, really, really let it dry, because it was putting like a crystalline protection on top, no airflow. And the new varnishes let a little bit of air through, so you can varnish as soon as it's really, really dry to the touch. Basically, I will go to the thickest area of the painting and try to move it around a little bit, you know, with either a brush or often my fingernail. And then I often will go to the area that has the most white paint in it, because that's my slowest drying color typically, and try the same thing. I've taken to putting my paintings under a big fan. usually overnight. I don't know if that's helpful or not. It's just something I've been doing. I have the fan running anyways, just to keep airflow going up here, so I might as well just aim it at a painting.
Michael, if I put my paintings on my table out in the yard, in the sun, is that bad?
I don't believe so, no. Some
Okay.
colors can darken a little bit, but other color, yeah, no, it should be fine.
Okay. I'll leave them out for like 2 or 3 hours and then bring them in.
Yeah,
And they dry
absolutely.
faster.
Yeah, they definitely dry fast out in the sun. Yeah, I know when I'm out
Arizona.
painting, sometimes
Yeah.
they'll be dry
Yeah.
by the end of the day, it feels like.
Michael, how many layers of varnish you have to put?
I mean, sometimes I can get away with one.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes there's still little shinier areas and less shiny areas, and I'll just do another really thin coat. But again, remember, the least amount of varnish is best. And it's better to do 2 very thin coats than 1 thick coat. Do not try to shortcut the system. Believe me, I'm lazy. I've tried to do it tons of times, and that's when I get in trouble.
Do you put it on with your sponge brush?
Sometimes if it's small and not too textural, but no, generally I just use a big hard coarse brush.
Oh,
They have like soft varnish brushes that you can use, or just more of a synthetic hair bristle. But I don't know, I find if the painting's dry, I can be pretty brutal applying that varnish, really scrubbing it in there.
okay.
I think I put too much varnish on my painting.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
put
so
it on too thick.
so easy to do. All right,
You-
so
you
here,
clean your
go ahead.
brush.
Sorry, Hassan, I keep interrupting everybody.
no, one more quick question. How do you clean your brush after varnishing? I usually like
The
this.
Gamsol.
Just Gamsol.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good to know. Yeah, I've been trying soap, but yet it never
No,
comes out.
it's so
Good.
sticky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and my fingers are always really sticky after varnishing too, so I end up
I just-
unfortunately dipping my fingers into the Gamsol really quickly too, and just,
I just use those sponge brushes. That way you can just throw it away after.
yeah,
And then
that's,
another good thing is to take like a cotton cloth and wipe off the any excess varnish. It kind of
Yeah.
smooths.
I was gonna say that, that's a great point. Yeah, a lot of times I will let the varnish sit for just a couple minutes and then just kind of go dab it off, and it seems to work pretty well. You definitely don't want any puddled areas, especially if you're painting more texturally.
Mhm.
All right, so next section after questions for the class is reference photos. Feel free to share images. Great, yeah, we got some images being shared by you guys, perfect. Anything that you're willing to let the other students be inspired by and work on, these are a couple more that I just added this morning, I think, maybe yesterday, I don't know. And then the next section really quickly is artists we admire. So any paintings of artists that you think that I or the other students might be interested in, or that you would like to share, just to show this is, you know, some of the art that inspires me, direction I'm interested in. Feel free to add them to there. All you do again to add to any section is just push the plus symbol in that section and you can add things to it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump away after we get this very quick teaser of all your guys' amazing stuff here. I'm excited to come back and talk about that at the end of the class. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the easel and start with the demo. And talk about scumbling and glazing, and hopefully you guys will have lots of questions as we're kind of going on. I'm gonna start with 2 paintings that I painted in one of our Thursday extra bonus sessions, both based on Linda Camarada's photos that she shares on Facebook. And they were both just 30 brushstroke challenges that I did just kind of for fun. And I'm gonna go ahead and break the rules and add a couple more brush strokes with some glazing and scumbling, because who cares, right? Challenge, I had fun, and now I can go and see if I can make them just a touch better. So the first 2 paintings I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna show you how I might use just a little bit of scumbling or just a little bit of glazing to kind of touch up a painting that could be almost considered done. They're both very loose, but this is a really common trick that I will use to go through and just kind of modify little areas. And if the paint, for both of these techniques, scumbling and glazing, it is important to remember you want the painting to be dry before you go into it. Otherwise, if you're scumbling, which is just kind of scrubbing in drier paint, well, just, wipe away the layer underneath. If you are glazing with a medium or just even some paint thinner, same thing, you'll just move the paint around underneath it. There might be times when that's kind of useful and interesting, but as a general rule, you're much safer to start with a very dry painting that you're gonna be painting onto. Just like I talked about in previous classes, I do advise you guys work on multiple paintings at a time so that you have all these different stages that you can be working on. Because a lot of times I'll just, okay, all these 5 paintings over here are dry, I can pick them up, just do little tiny tweaks just to make them that much better, because I've had, the week or two to live with them, to kind of look at them, to see if I like them, or, maybe they could use a little more color or a little more depth or a little more atmosphere or whatever that is. And this is a great way to do those little tweaks just to make them hopefully a little bit more lively, a little bit better, closer to the story or the mood or the feeling you want to get in your painting. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and push the stop record and switch my cameras, and then I'm gonna start the recording again. So this section of just the demos is isolated here. Anybody need a break here? We're already 20 minutes in. Everybody's good? Got your coffee, got your tea?